Welcome back, Deep Divers. Ever wonder why some IT teams just, seem to run smoothly, always delivering value?
Yeah, while others feel like they're constantly just putting out fires.
Exactly. Well, today we're diving into what might be the secret sauce, continual improvement in IT service management. And look, for those of you joining us from the Dr. Sam Pack College of Business at Tarleton State University, or really anyone aiming to lead in IT, this is, well, it's absolutely foundational stuff. Our mission today, to figure out why good enough isn't just like suboptimal in IT. It's actually a fast track to becoming irrelevant.
Right.
And how this idea of constant deliberate improvement isn't just a nice to have, it's a non-negotiable for delivering real value.
Totally agree.
And our insights, they're rooted in a great resource, Mastering ITIL 4 for Information Systems Professionals. It gives us a really solid grounding in the ITIL framework.
It's a fantastic guide.
Oh, and hey, if you find value in what we talk about today, do us a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, maybe share it, and definitely drop your thoughts in the comments below.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And it's so true, modern IT environments, they're not static structures. They're more like living organisms.
Oh, interesting analogy.
Yeah, constantly adapting, right? New tech pops up, customer expectations shift. It's always changing.
So the idea you could just optimize once and you're done.
That's just a fallacy. It doesn't work that way. What you really need is to embed this mindset, this culture of ongoing evolution.
Okay.
So by the end of this deep dive, hopefully you'll have a much clearer, sort of tangible understanding of the models, the processes, and importantly, the real-world ways this actually drives service enhancement.
Right.
Whether you're a student just building that knowledge base or you're already a professional looking to apply ITIL 4, maybe step into a leadership role, this is crucial stuff.
Okay, so let's unpack it. Continual improvement. At its heart, it's just asking, how can we do better?
Right.
But like all the time.
On an ongoing basis, yeah.
It's not a project with an end date. It's this relentless cycle. Evaluate, find opportunities, make changes, check the impact, and then do it all over again.
Exactly.
But what does that really look like, beyond the textbook definition?
That's the key question. It's definitely more than just a definition. And, this idea isn't brand new. It's got deep roots in quality management.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Think W. Edwards Deming, his famous Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle, PDCA. That's really foundation for a lot of this thinking.
Right, PDCA, we hear that a lot.
And for IT leaders, the real insight isn't just knowing the cycle exists. It's grasping its strategic and operational importance.
Okay, break that down. Strategic versus operational.
Well, strategically, it means making sure every improvement, no matter how small it seems, actually supports the bigger picture, the organization's vision.
Got it.
Operationally, it's about fine-tuning those everyday processes, like incident management. If you can resolve customer issues faster, that directly feeds into a strategic goal, like delivering a superior customer experience. Okay, so it connects the day-to-day grind
to the grand vision.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're linking the tactical to the strategic.
And we actually have a really good example from the source material that illustrates this perfectly.
All right.
Yeah, think about a big global retail company. Their IT team was constantly fighting these monthly outages on their e-commerce site.
Ouch. That hurts sales.
Big time. These weren't just tech hiccups. They were directly hitting the bottom line and customer trust. So the team decided, okay, let's embrace continual improvement.
Smart move.
And their first step was really shrewd. They baselined their current average uptime, found out it was kind of worrying, actually, 99.0%.
Not great for e-commerce.
Definitely not. So they set an ambitious target, 99.9%, much more stable.
Okay.
But they didn't just, throw random solutions at it. They systematically rolled out better monitoring tools. They streamlined their incident response, but they did it in iterative cycles.
The iterative part is key.
Totally. And after each cycle, they rigorously checked. Did uptime improve? Did we hit that number? Plan, do, check.
Exactly. And the outcome. After several rounds, they consistently hit that 99.9% uptime.
Nice.
Which led to measurably higher customer satisfaction and, crucially, more revenue.
See, that's the payoff.
Yeah, the real insight there is how those methodical operational changes led directly to a clear, measurable strategic impact.
And what's really powerful is how ITIL, the main framework for ITSM, weaves continual improvement throughout its whole system, the service value system.
That's not just bolted on.
No, not at all. It's baked right in. ITIL 4 specifically has an improve stage in its service value chain, and it defines continual improvement as a general management practice.
Okay.
And this gets reinforced by those ITIL guiding principles like start where you are.
Meaning use your existing data,
Yeah.
right? Your baselines.
Exactly. And progress iteratively with feedback, which emphasizes those small evaluated steps. These aren't just like nice phrases.
They're practical guidelines.
They're the philosophical underpinnings for making it work in the real world.
Okay, so if that's the why, let's talk about the how. How do we actually do this? You mentioned ITIL 4 provides a framework.
Yeah, it does. A really powerful one, actually. It's the continual improvement model, structured around 7 key questions.
7 questions. Sounds manageable.
It is. It's designed to guide pretty much any improvement effort, whether it's a tiny tweak or a huge organizational change.
Okay.
And it keeps the focus squarely on customer value and the overall organizational vision, making sure every improvement actually contributes to what matters to the business.
Yeah, value co-creation.
Exactly. The beauty is its simplicity, really, and how adaptable it is. You kick things off by asking, what is the vision?
Okay, step 1, vision. How does this improvement link to the bigger business goals?
Precisely. You've got to align it with the company's mission, its strategic objectives. You need to be crystal clear on the ultimate value you're aiming to deliver. You can't hit a target you can't see, right?
Makes perfect sense. But, quick question here. In a big company, getting everyone aligned on one vision for IT improvement. That sounds like it could be a bit of a political challenge sometimes. How do you get that buy-in early on?
That's a really critical point. And often, yeah, it does require strong leadership communication. You need leaders who can clearly articulate how IT improvement directly helps the business succeed. Show what's in it for them.
Okay, so strong communication is key there. Once the vision's clear, what's next?
Then you ask, where are we now?
All right, the baseline assessment.
Exactly. You need to rigorously assess your current performance. Get those clear baselines. What are the current KPIs saying? What's the customer feedback? Any audit results? You need an honest, data-driven picture of your starting point, pain points included.
No sugarcoating.
None. You need the truth.
Because you know where you are. Then you define, where do we want to be?
Yep. This is where you set those measurable targets for success.
So putting numbers on it.
Precisely. Quantify what success looks like increase customer satisfaction from 80% to 90%, or reduce average incident resolution time from 5 hours down to 3 hours.
Okay. Specific, measurable.
Exactly. They're not just wishes, they're concrete goals you can actually track.
Got it. Then comes the practical side. How do we get there? This is the plan.
This is your action plan, the planning phase, what process changes are needed, what tools, who needs to be involved, what resources, what's the timeline. And critically, think iteratively here. Maybe pilot the change on a smaller scale first.
Test it out. Reduce risk.
Reduce risk, gather feedback, before you go big bang.
Okay, plan's in place, then you take action.
The execution phase. You implement the plan, deploy the new tools, train the staff, maybe redesign some workflows, and crucially, you monitor progress as you go. This is where the rubber really meets the road.
Right. Lots of effort going in. Now, the big question, did we get there?
The evaluation step. Absolutely vital. Did you actually hit those targets you set?
Check in the metrics.
Yep. You measure the results against your goals. Did customer satisfaction actually hit 90%? You compare the before and after data, verify success, or identify the shortfalls. This is where you learn.
Learn from what worked and what didn't.
Exactly. And finally, a step that honestly gets overlooked way too often, but it's so important. How do we keep the momentum going?
Sustaining the gains.
Yeah.
And finding the next thing.
Right. You need to institutionalize the changes that worked.
Yeah.
Make them the new standard. Celebrate the successes. Share the good news with stakeholders.
Builds morale, shows value.
Absolutely. Learn from the whole experience, even the failures. And then you link back. What's the new vision for the next round of improvement? It's a continuous loop, not a straight line.
A cycle.
Precisely. The source has a great example of a service desk improving response time. They walk through all 7 steps, started with the vision, excellent customer service, baseline their current 4-hour response, targeted 1 hour, plan improvements like a chatbot, and maybe reallocating some staff.
Right.
Implemented it, measured the results. Maybe they got it down to 30 minutes, even better. And then they standardized that new process and started looking for the next bottleneck to tackle.
That systematic approach, it really makes a difference, doesn't it?
It really does.
Okay, that's the strategic framework. But how do we get into the real nitty-gritty, the mechanics of doing it,
Yeah.
especially with all the data involved?
Right. And that's where the more detailed ITIL V3 7-step improvement process often comes into the picture. It complements the ITIL 4 model beautifully.
Ah, the 7 steps.
Yeah. Think of it as more of the operational playbook that helps you answer those 7 strategic questions from ITIL 4. And it aligns really nicely with Deming's PDCA cycle.
Okay, so how does it start?
It kicks off with identifying the strategy for improvement. Basically, step 1 is making sure you're clearly linking whatever you plan to do back to the business goals. That alignment again.
Got it. Strategy first, then?
Then you define what you will measure.
Ah, the KPIs again. Those key performance indicators we talked about.
Exactly. You pinpoint the specific metrics you'll use to track success. Very important.
Okay, measure what matters.
Next, you gather the data. This means actually collecting the relevant, consistent information from incident records, monitoring tools, maybe user surveys, system logs.
Consistency is key here, right? Apples to apples.
No, absolutely non-negotiable if you want reliable insights down the line. Then you process the data,
Meaning?
turning that raw data into something usable, information, filtering it, summarizing it, maybe putting it into charts. You're moving from just raw numbers to something that starts to tell a story.
Data to information. Got it.
Right. And then comes the magic, as you said earlier. Analyze the information and data.
Okay, this is where we figure out what it means. The check phase of PDCA, really.
Absolutely. This is pure check.
Yeah.
You interpret the information, look for trends, try to find root causes, derive knowledge, like understanding why incidents seem to spike every Friday afternoon, for instance.
Okay, so now we have knowledge, but just knowing isn't enough.
Exactly. So the next step is present and use the information. Making those insights digestible, reports, dashboards, whatever works. The goal is to drive decisions. This starts the act phase of PDCA.
Communicating the findings to get action.
Right. And then finally, implement improvement. This is the rest of the act phase, actually executing the changes you identified based on that analysis.
And then the cycle starts over.
Then the cycle restarts, using the new situation as your baseline for the next round of continuous refinement. Plan, do, check, act.
So that plan, do, check, act cycle really is the engine driving all of this. It's iterative, meaning after act. You loop back to plan for the next improvement.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's so fundamental, why do you think so many organizations still seem to struggle with the act part?
Yeah.
Failing to fully implement or sustain the improvements they identify.
That's a really common stumbling block. And it kind of gets to why PDCA is so crucial. It provides that disciplined, almost scientific approach. It forces you to move beyond just finding problems to systematically acting on them and then checking if your actions actually worked.
So it prevents just talking about problems.
Hopefully. And it reduces risk, right? Because you're doing things iteratively, trial and learning. It encourages that kind of evolutionary change, which is often safer and more sustainable than trying these huge, risky, big bang transformations.
Makes sense.
Think about a monitoring team trying to improve how fast they respond to alerts. They plan, decide on a new tool to aggregate alerts, set a goal maybe to cut response time by 50%.
Yeah.
They do deploy it, but maybe just for a subset of servers first.
Pilot it.
Yeah. Then they check after a month, analyze the data. Maybe they only saw a 30% improvement, not 50%.
Okay. Learn something.
Right. Then they act based on that learning. Maybe they tweak the tool's configuration, roll it out fully, and they start planning the next cycle to close that remaining 20% gap. The struggle often comes when teams skip the check or the act, or they just don't loop back to plan again.
Right. Dropping the ball before the cycle completes.
Exactly.
You know that old saying, you can't manage what you don't measure?
Yeah.
It feels like that's the absolute bedrock of continual improvement.
Oh, totally. It's fundamentally data-driven.
We talked about CSFs, critical success factors, those high-level goals like high customer satisfaction, and KPIs, key performance indicators, where the specific metrics like % of tickets rated positively.
Right.
But for our listeners, especially students or those aspiring to lead, the real challenge isn't just knowing the terms CSF and KPI. It's picking the right ones, isn't it?
That's exactly right. Choosing the right metrics is critical. For CI to actually work, you need metrics that are, 1, aligned with business value.
Got to matter to the business.
2, they need to be actionable. You need to be able to do something based on what the metric tells you.
Yeah.
And 3, you usually want a concise mix. Some objective data, some subjective, like satisfaction scores.
Right. Not just numbers, but perception, too.
And think about leading versus lagging indicators. Are you tracking things that predict future performance? Leading. Or just things that tell you what already happened? Lagging.
Good point. You need both.
Yeah, a mix is usually best. Lagging tells you if you hit the goal, leading gives you early warnings if you're going off track.
Okay. And this links back to that DIQW model you mentioned. Data, information, knowledge, wisdom.
Absolutely. The real challenge in continual improvement, I think, isn't just getting from data to information to knowledge. Like finding out that 40% of your incidents are password resets.
That's the knowledge part.
Right. The real leap is bridging that gap to wisdom.
Wisdom being.
Wisdom is acting on that knowledge proactively. Like, okay, if 40% are password resets, let's implement a self-service password reset tool. That's wisdom. Making intelligent decisions based on the knowledge, decisions that make a tangible difference.
So it's about turning insight into intelligent action. So as these improvements get identified and people start working on them, it feels like you'd need a way to keep track of everything. Things could get lost otherwise.
Oh, for sure. And that's where ITIL recommends using a continual improvement register or a CSI register.
CSI register. Okay.
Think of it like your organization's official improvement portfolio. It's a formal record. Sometimes people still call it a service improvement plan or SIP, but CSI register is the more current term.
And what does it do?
It brings visibility and accountability to all the improvement efforts, from the really small, quick wins right up to the major projects.
So everyone knows what's being worked on.
Exactly. A good register entry gives you a clear snapshot. It should detail the initiative, like upgrade backup system for critical servers.
Right.
It should have the business case, why are we doing this? Maybe reduce recovery time objective from 4 hours to less than 1 hour.
The justification.
Yep. Current baseline, target metric, maybe achieve 0 data loss.
Okay.
Priority, owner, stakeholders, approvals, the action plan, status, all of it.
Wow. Quite comprehensive.
Yeah, and that level of detail isn't just for tracking internally. It provides fantastic material for reporting progress up the chain to executives, even to customers. It shows IT is being proactive, generating value.
So it's much more than just a fancy to-do list. It's a communication tool, an accountability tool.
And a prioritization tool. It helps you manage limited resources. It's really a sign of a mature ITSM organization. It's a living document, constantly updated.
Makes sense. But how does an organization figure out where it stands overall? Like, how good are our processes really? And what should we focus on improving next?
That's where maturity models become really useful.
Maturity models, okay.
They provide a structured way to assess basically the sophistication and effectiveness of your processes or functions, like the ITIL maturity model itself.
And how do they work?
Typically, they use a scale, often 5 levels. Level 1 might be initial or ad hoc things or chaotic, unpredictable.
Firefighting mode.
Pretty much. All the way up to level 5, which is usually optimizing processes are not just managed and measured, but they're being continuously improved based on data.
Okay, so you figure out where you are on that scale.
Exactly. You assess your current maturity level for different processes. This helps you pinpoint the weaknesses and plan strategic improvements.
Like finding out your change management is maybe only level 2.
Right, meaning it's somewhat repeatable, but maybe not formally enforced or measured consistently.
While your incident management is already at level 4, well managed and measured.
Precisely. That kind of insight tells you, okay, maybe our next big push should be getting change management up to level 3 or 4.
And it helps justify the effort, right?
Absolutely. You can go to senior management and say, look, we're at level 2 in change. Industry best practice is level 4. If we invest in getting to level 4, we expect X, fewer failed changes, Y, less downtime, Z, more business agility. That's a much more persuasive business case.
It connects the process maturity directly to business outcomes.
And to metrics, too. Higher maturity usually means more defined metrics and better performance against them.
So for something like a service desk, you could literally map out a journey, moving from a chaotic level 1.
Maybe by first just implementing a ticketing system to get to level 2.
Then documenting procedures for level 3.
Then tracking KPIs consistently for level 4.
And finally, integrating advanced tools, automation, maybe proactive problem management to reach level 5.
Exactly. It provides that clear, actionable roadmap for improvement and growth over time.
Okay, we've hit processes, tools, metrics, maturity. But now let's talk about something maybe less tangible, but arguably more important, especially for leaders, the cultural shift.
Ah, yes. Hugely important.
Because for continual improvement to really, truly take root and thrive, it can't just be a process owned by a few people. It needs to be embraced by everyone, doesn't it? From the top leadership all the way down to the frontline staff.
100%. This isn't just a technical exercise. It's fundamentally a human one. It's about changing mindsets and behaviors.
So what are the key factors for making that cultural shift happen?
Well, several things are absolutely essential. First and foremost, leadership support and vision.
Got to start at the top.
Always. Leaders need to clearly articulate why improvement is vital. They need to visibly support it, allocate the necessary resources, set clear expectations, and this is important, celebrate the successes.
Visible.
Yeah. Think about making continual improvement updates a standard, required item on the agenda for all IT management meetings. That simple act sends a very powerful message about priority.
Okay. What else?
Defined roles and responsibilities. It helps to have someone championing it, maybe a CSI manager. But it's not just their job. You need to empower all staff to suggest ideas, make them feel ownership, maybe have a formal suggestion scheme or an easy way to submit ideas.
So everyone feels they can contribute.
Right. Which ties into training and knowledge sharing. You need to equip staff with the skills to identify and implement improvements and foster a culture where it's okay to learn from mistakes.
Blame-free postmortems.
Exactly. Rigorous post-incident reviews where the goal is learning, not pointing fingers, and making sure those lessons learned actually get captured and shared, maybe in a knowledge base.
Okay. Leadership, roles, training. What else?
Building momentum with small, quick wins and iteration.
Ah, the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. Don't only go after the huge, complex projects. Find some easily achievable things that provide visible benefits quickly. It builds confidence, gets people excited, creates buy-in.
Celebrate those small victories.
Definitely, even while you're planning the bigger improvements in iterative phases. And then collaboration and communication. This is non-negotiable.
Breaking down silos.
Absolutely. Continual improvement rarely happens effectively within just one team silo. You need to encourage cross-functional teamwork, foster that open, blame-free culture we mentioned so people focus on solving the problem, not finding who to blame.
And communicate outwards.
Yeah, regular communication, both internally and maybe even externally to customers or business partners about what improvements are happening and the value they're delivering. It keeps everyone aligned and demonstrates progress.
Makes sense.
Anything else?
One last big one. Integrating CSI into daily work.
Making it normal, not extra.
Exactly. It needs to become part of the regular rhythm of work, not some special project you do when you have free time, which is never.
Right.
This could mean things like encouraging teams to set aside, say, 10% time for innovation or improvement ideas, or always doing retrospectives after major projects or incidents, or even tying contributions to improvement goals into personal objectives or performance reviews.
So it becomes part of how work gets done.
That's the goal.
Okay, that sounds great in theory, but let's be real. This journey isn't always smooth sailing. What are the common challenges leaders face when trying to build this culture?
Oh, there are definitely hurdles. Resistance to change is a big one. People get comfortable.
We've always done it this way. Exactly. Another huge one is just being too busy with the day-to-day firefighting. It's hard to focus on improvement when you're just trying to keep the lights on.
The tyranny of the urgent.
Precisely. Then you have practical issues like data availability. Maybe you don't have the right metrics or tools. Coordinating across different teams or silos can be really tough. And just sustaining the momentum over the long haul, that requires real persistence.
So how do organizations overcome those? Got an example?
Yeah, the source mentions a case like ABC Bank's IT division. They really wanted to embed CI. One thing they did was institute a quarterly CSI day.
A whole day dedicated to it.
Yeah, a workshop where all of the IT teams actually came together. They'd review the CSI register, brainstorm new ideas, report on initiatives they'd completed.
Face-to-face collaboration.
Right. They even had a small award like the Improvement of the Quarter to recognize contributions. It became this regular, anticipated event.
Fostered engagement.
Hugely. Staff started proactively bringing ideas to CSI Day because they knew they'd be heard. And the CIO backed it up. They regularly asked about CSI progress in leadership meetings, reinforcing that it was priority.
Leadership reinforcement again.
Crucial. And the result? They saw real benefits. Measurable process efficiencies, cost savings, better service levels, and maybe most importantly, higher staff engagement because people felt empowered to actually make a difference.
That really shows how you need that blend The strong leadership, the defined process like CSI Day, and the register, and the supportive culture all working together.
Exactly. It turns CI from a concept into just the way they did things.
It highlights that embedding this culture really does blend those hard aspects, the roles, processes, tools, with the crucial soft aspects, the mindset, the communication, the teamwork. It's a truly holistic approach, and honestly, a real test of effective leadership.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, let's try to bring all these threads together now. How about a mini case study? Let's put you, the listener, in the driver's seat for a moment.
Sounds good.
Imagine you're the IT service manager at a fictional company, say Czech Support Co., and your service desk. It's struggling.
Okay.
Customer satisfaction is hovering around 70%, but your target is 90%. Average resolution time for incidents is a sluggish 48 hours. And users, they're complaining about long hold times, having to call back multiple times for the same issue. You get the picture.
Yep, classic signs of trouble.
So the CIO taps you on the shoulder and says, lead a continual improvement initiative to fix this. Where do you even start?
Okay, good scenario. So, where to start? Let's lean on that ITIL continual improvement model. Question 1. What is the vision?
Right, the big picture.
Your strategic goals here are probably pretty clear. Boost overall business productivity by providing better support, and definitely enhance the customer experience with IT. Make it less frustrating.
Okay, vision set.
Then, where are we now? Time for baselining. You gather the hard data, that 70% satisfaction score, the 48-hour average resolution time, but you also dig deeper. Identify why. What are the inefficient procedures? Is it the lack of a knowledge base? Are password resets bogging things down manually? Get the specifics.
Find the pain points. Okay. Now for the improvement plan. Based on that, what are maybe 2 specific, impactful initiatives you'd propose?
Okay, 2 impactful ones, given the symptoms. One strong candidate would be implementing a proper centralized knowledge base.
Okay, knowledge base. Expected benefit.
The expected benefit, tied directly to KPIs, would be a higher first contact resolution rate for the service desk, and probably a reduced average first response time because agents can find answers faster. Implementation. Populate it with FAQs, common fixes, train the staff thoroughly on using it and contributing to it.
Makes sense. What's number 2?
Given the calling multiple times and likely high volume, automating common self-service requests seems like a winner. Specifically, let's target password resets.
The classic time sink.
Exactly. Automate it. Deploy a secure self-service portal. Promote its use heavily. The benefit. Reduced call volume for these routine, low-value tasks, freeing up agents and improving overall responsiveness.
And both of these initiatives
Go straight into our CSI register immediately. For formal tracking, ownership, visibility, the works.
Got it. Okay, initiatives launched. Fast forward. Evaluation and sustainment. How do you check, did we get there? And crucially, how do we keep the momentum going?
Right. Evaluation first. You measure the new metrics, resurvey customer satisfaction. Did it climb towards 90%? Track the average resolution time. Did it drop significantly from 48 hours? Look at the usage stats for the knowledge base and the self-service portal. Are people actually using them? And are level 1 resolution rates improving?
Check against the targets.
Precisely. Then sustainment. Keep the momentum going. This means ongoing training for the service desk staff on the new tools and processes. Regularly reviewing those key metrics in team meetings, keep them visible. Maybe start looking at extending CI to level 2 or level 3 support. And absolutely, celebrate the successes, big or small, to keep the team motivated and reinforce that new improvement culture.
What really stands out there is, like you said before, there isn't one single right answer necessarily, but the ITIL framework provides that logical structure, that scaffolding.
Yeah.
It helps you make informed choices and really connect the dots between the problems, the actions you take, and the measurable results you achieve. It's a genuinely powerful roadmap.
Absolutely. In essence, when you boil it all down, continual improvement isn't just about, tweaking things here and there.
Making things a little better.
Right. It's a much more fundamental, ongoing discipline journey. It's about systematically enhancing services and processes to ensure IT is consistently delivering the best possible value to the business.
And it's guided by that ITIL continual improvement model.
Operationalized by data-driven approaches like the 7-step improvement process, all really embodying Deming's Plan-Do-Check Act cycle.
And it relies on those crucial tools.
Yeah.
The CSI registers for tracker.
Robust metrics and KPIs for measurement.
Maturity models to know where you stand and where you're going.
And it's all underpinned by those practical ITIL guiding principles like start where you are and progress iteratively with feedback.
And the key takeaway is this isn't just theory locked away in a textbook.
Not at all.
This is actively how leading organizations operate. They make CI part of their daily DNA to gain and maintain a competitive edge. So for you, listening right now, whether you're deep in your studies at Tarleton's Dr. Sampak College of Business or you're already out there working, maybe looking to step up into leadership, getting a real handle on continual improvement is huge.
Yeah.
It means you can strategically manage change.
Yes.
It means you have the analytical skills to look at metrics and understand what they're really telling you. And it means you have the leadership capability to influence people and processes to actually make change happen.
And mastering continual improvement. That really prepares you to lead significant initiatives. Things like process reengineering, implementing new ITIL practices. It helps you foster genuine innovation within IT operations.
Yeah.
It's absolutely integral to ITIL certification, sure, but more importantly, it's fundamental to running a modern, high-performing IT service organization that truly delivers business value.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If continual improvement really is a journey, not a destination, what's the very first, maybe even tiny step you could take today in your current work or even in your studies to start on that journey? And maybe more importantly, how would you measure if that small step was a success?
Great question to ponder.
Let us know your thoughts. Drop them in the comments below. We genuinely love hearing from you. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive into continual improvement in IT service management.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
We really hope you feel more informed, maybe a bit inspired, and definitely more ready to lead change. Until next time.